What's going on, guys? This here's Sit Comics, and today we're going to be talking about player classes. More specifically, your first time playing, what classes you pick, because it is kind of important. I do believe that if you pick the class that you're not, that your natural tendencies aren't suited for your first time, it can go wrong pretty quickly, and it can become very easily to get discouraged. An example: there's one guy I know who swears up and down to the moon, heaven, and stars that he is a sniper, and he's not. I mean, he knows how to use a scope, but his play style for the majority was more in your face, and so when he had uh, this bow ranger that he created, there were a lot of situations where he was doing some tactical things that he thought was putting him back, but was actually putting him on the front line, and it caused a lot of problems for him, as you can imagine. So it really is kind of important to pick properly for yourself the first time, and I'm gonna sort of get into how you pick that and what the stereotypes are to sort of help you pick what you're gonna do. So the first thing to pick, as being a DM, I've noticed about four stereotypes of players in my games. Um, Not to being said that everybody is one or the other. Most people are a general mix, and it's important to take that in consideration too. But there's just four stereotypes, and I believe if you know what type of stereotype you are, honestly, then you can do really well, because you're already gonna have an idea of what the tactics are in your mind. So what are these four stereotypes? Well, the first stereotype is the most common one, and that's tanks. These are people who their entire quest in the game is to get bigger armor, better sword, and to kill anything and everything that stands in their way of their destiny. These players are useful because these are going to be your guys who are going to stand on the front line. They're going to create space for the other players to do their sort of tactics. I mean, the front linemen, their tactics are pretty basic. Create a front line. But they're going to create space for the other players' tactics to actually be able to work. So there really isn't a game that can go without a front lineman. It's not very easy to play without one. Tanks, front linemen generally tend to be they're going to be your fighter class. They're going to be your barbarian class, or they're going to be your two-bladed ranger class. Just guys who can form a front line and keep that line held on lock. The second type of stereotype that I notice is ninjas or snipers. Ninjas are your guys who either they stand back and they use ranged weaponry and they pick off key targets in the group, in the enemies, to whittle down the enemy force more specifically, to be more objective about it, I guess. Or they're going to hide in the shadows and they're going to get that good sneak attack. They're going to find a way behind the enemy and they're going to get that good sneak attack on them for, a massive amount of damage, as well as a good flanking position to grant everybody else a combat advantage. That's also helpful. Typically, these guys are going to be, like I said, they're going to be your bow ranger, or they're going to be your rogue, or something akin to that. Yeah, it's just what they do. Your third stereotype, and these guys do have a place in a combat environment, believe you me, are your diplomats. These are going to be your guys who are not very good at the combat itself, but they are great at trying to talk their way out of it. Now, you might think, where in the world does diplomacy take place in a combat situation? Well, I have seen diplomats before when they played who them and their allies were facing overwhelming odds. There was no way they were going to survive this crap. It was not going to happen. So instead, what they do is they got it set, or what they do is they try and talk their way out of it beforehand. These are going to be your guys who get the objective without shedding blood, without causing a riot or a war. And like I said, when it's overwhelming odds, these guys might actually be a better choice. And as far as classes go, I mean, they can really do anything. They can really be any class, but the majority of the time they tend to be like sorcerers or bards. just people with a good tongue. The fourth type of player is your support uh, people. These are the guys who they're not necessarily on the front lines all the time. They more bounce back and forth on the front line to support this position, support this position. But what they really excel at is they heal allies, they buff allies, and they grant penalties to the enemy. And that they do supportive things to help the other players. And that is extremely useful. If nobody in the party can heal, then it gets kind of shaky as the campaign grows long. And, you start watching your hit points like they're golden. And as far as classes go, most commonly these guys are paladins, clerics, and warlords. That's just that's who they are. So how do you know what class to choose? Well, the easiest way I've found is to go play video games. Like me specifically, when I have a new player who doesn't know what to do, we sit down, we play Call of Duty on live. And I pretend like I'm watching my screen, but in reality, I'm watching their profile. I'm watching their face cam to see what they do. Like what I'm looking for, if they, anybody can use an assault rifle, so I really don't look for assault rifles. But say they grab a shotgun and they, get right up in the enemy's face and they blast the enemy away and take hits, and they don't care that they're taking hits, that's your tank guy. That's going to be your front lineman. If they grab a sniper rifle or they hide in the corners and camp, or camp at all, or they grab an SMG and they sprint and get behind the enemy, get that vital flanking position where they might not even have to shoot, they just knife, that's going to be your ninja, guaranteed. Diplomats are kind of hard to tell in combat of Call of Duty because there's no treaties that can ever be signed. But if the guy is listening, if the guy trash talks a lot during the open lobby, or they they help out, they talk a lot saying, hey, there's a guy at this position, helps out the teammate, then yeah, that's going to be your diplomat. Anybody who, is already inclined to use their voice. Support guys, the most common weapon they get is LMGs, but not very many people use LMGs, so it's not easy to tell by that. What's a better tell is that they'll help the other teammates. They care more about the team winning the game than their own kill-death ratio, which is something that's pretty rare in team deathmatch nowadays. But these are going to be your guys who, back up players with either with not being asked or being asked very little. They back up anybody, or they'll revive downed players, or they put up fire support to help somebody out. These are they're your support guys, your clerics. And I'm not saying to just pick the one class to go with for the rest of your life. Like I said before, it's fun to play other stuff, and every time you die, mix it up. But for your first play, pick something that you're already inclined to know. But you have to be honest with yourself. Go play a video game and be very critical of yourself. Analyze yourself a lot to find out what your playstyle is, and then take that to your dungeon master or your game master or whatever and work it out there. I'm just giving you the basics, telling you the basics of what's out there. But for your first class, do something that you're naturally inclined to know. That being said, I think my next video is going to be about the other side of your character, non-combat. What do you, how do you know what type of player you are, and how do you use that to your advantage? But until that time, this has been Sit Comics. Thank you guys for listening. Leave likes if you liked it. Leave dislikes if you don't. If you disliked it, tell me in the comment section why. Because this is the D&D cause is finally getting bigger, and it's something that I want to contribute to. So, like I said, if you disliked it, tell me why, and I might just do something to make it more entertaining. Like I said, I just want to help spread the word. So yeah, it's been Sit Comics, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.